There's chaos on the ranch. See the stove there. What happened was we had a stove failure. I tried to fix it and couldn't. It just got worse and worse, so we bought a new stove. But there's the refrigerator. That's a propane powered refrigerator, and it crashed. And a couple of things happened. One was I determined that the thermocouple had failed, so I put a thermocouple in, and it would run, but it wouldn't cool the refrigerator part. And it's kind of our fault because we didn't do the right maintenance on it. And I think what happened was there's some sodium chromate stuff in there, and they got overheated and formed crystals, plugged up, and so the lower evaporator is what cools the refrigerator part. That was not producing, so we bought a new refrigerator. So I had to replace that. Now let's step outside. Okay, this is kind of a real quickie. I have posted several videos about the propane move, and I know that people have been watching this think I've given up, but I haven't. It's been a catastrophe here on the ranch. For example, this is a brand new propane powered refrigerator because the other one, the one we have in the house, crashed. The thing weighs 300 pounds. I have no idea exactly how I'm going to get it into the house, but where's the way? And what else you can't see is the stove in the kitchen. Stove in the kitchen crashed. But not actually. It wasn't the stove. I don't know how many people know this, but propane has minute amount of oily stuff in them, and I think it comes from the pumps that are used to pressurize and move propane around. But it builds up, and what happened was there was a build up of this oily, gooey stuff, and it blocked the movement of propane into the kitchen stove. Well, I thought the kitchen stove had failed, so I said, well, I'll fix it. Well, I couldn't fix it. It turned into a disaster, and I started taking it apart, and it got worse and worse and worse. And so eventually I bought another kitchen stove, and it's hauled off, and there was nothing wrong with that. You know, what the hell, it's just a couple of grand, you know. Anyway, so I got the stove running. I have to convert the oven yet over to propane from natural gas. But anyway, here's what we've got so far. Right over here, there's a line in. Let me pan around. There's a line in, and there's a couple of valves there. The valve over here goes around the side of the house and goes into the new stove. The valve here comes over and hooks up to the propane supply. And I've moved the propane supply from the side of the house around to the front, and there's a concrete pad that, oh, that's my feet down. There's a concrete pad where we're going to store all the propane, because I can back the beast up. The guy over there, there he's sitting over there. The beast over there, it's got a crane on it, and I go to the propane place, load the propane into tanks, come over, back up down to here. And the reason it sounds morbid, but you know, I'm about 84, so I'm not going to make it forever. And when I go, I want Pat to be able to deal with all this stuff here on the ranch by herself until she decides to take off and go down to Key West and take up with a bartender or something. Who the hell knows? Anyway, so that's the story there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to post any more stuff about this because what we're talking about is just a bunch of tanks moving around, and but here I'll point out what we have here. Kind of happy with the situation. Here's there's the regulator, and it's a dual, so when one side runs out it switches over to the other. And then right down here some check valves, and what they do is allow it to hook two tanks up. So I got two tanks, and then when these two tanks run out, it'll automatically switch over to here and to these two tanks, and then over here is the backup for those two tanks, and over here is the backup for these two tanks. And then store the rest of them, just store them around, and you can walk them around, so you don't have to pick them up. You can walk them around. And so that's a story on this, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So I'm going to hang it up, go turn this into a YouTube, and go on to other things.